everybody, it's Nikki here and welcome to a bookish video. So today's video is my February haul video where I talk about all the books that I bought in the month of February. Now I am under a points system. I will link my points video for you in the description box down below if you don't know what I'm talking about. It is a way for me to accumulate points from the books that I read within the month to transfer then into a book allowance that tells me how many books I can buy in the following month. This is not my own system. This was one created by one of my lovely subscribers. So thank you very much, Karen, for letting me use your system. Now, in the month of February, I had a book allowance of 4 books. However, within my system, I have some exceptions to the rule, and that is any books that are gifted to me or that I get in book boxes. Not that I get any book boxes anymore, so I don't get those books coming in every month anymore, but yeah, gifts or pre-orders do not count in my book allowance because I have no control over when someone gifts me a book. And I don't feel like it's fair that I should have to take from my book allowance if I get a gift. And then pre-orders don't count because I've already preempted that I'm going to be buying those books anyway. So yeah, but they have to be pre-ordered at least 2 months prior to their release. So I can't just say I'm pre-ordering a book that's coming out next week. That doesn't count. I have to have preempted that I'm going to be buying that book in a month or 2. So, saying that, February, some of you may know, has Valentine's Day. And so me and my husband, we were talking about what we were going to do for Valentine's Day. We decided we would go to the cinema and have a nice meal out. And we went to Nando's and we saw... oh God, what film did we see? Uncharted, which was brilliant. It was a lovely day out. I really thoroughly enjoyed myself. And then as a gift to each other, he had a game that was coming out on his PlayStation called Horizon... what was it called? Horizon... I know you're all shouting the name at me. Honey? What's that game called that you just finished? Horizon Forbidden West. And yes, he's finished it within a month. And he only took his time on it because I asked him to wait so I could watch him finish it. Otherwise he would have finished it ages ago. But yeah, so I bought him that game and then he got me a Waterstones gift voucher for the same value so I could buy books. And so I did. I bought a lot of books. So the majority of these books don't actually count in my book allowance because I bought them with the gift voucher. The only books I didn't buy, I'll talk about them because I can't say yet which ones I bought. 1, 2... 2 of them were not in the with the gift voucher, but one of them was a pre-order, so it doesn't count anyway. So technically I only used 1 of my book allowance this month for February. Anyway, let's get into it. Let's tell you about the books. So the first book I actually bought for Polathon because I needed a book to fulfill a prompt. And so I used the opportunity to buy myself a book, and I did get this with my gift voucher. So I bought The Polar Bear Explorers Club by Alex Bell. This is the first book in the series and I have already read this. I really enjoyed it, gave it 4 stars. So yeah, this is a book about a young girl called Stella Starflake Pearl who was found by her father in the polar regions. One time when he was exploring, he rescued her, brought her home and raised her as his own daughter. And at the beginning of the book, his sister, her aunt, is talking about sending Stella to a girls' finishing school and her father is not happy with that idea, and so despite the rule that there being no girls allowed at the Polar Bear Explorers Club, he takes Stella with him on his next exploration, and she, along with some of the other children who are also on the expedition, all of those were boys, obviously, because no girls allowed, apparently. But the children get separated from the main expedition and they have to find their way back to the rendezvous point before the ship sets sail and leaves them there. So it was very adventurous, very fun. I really, really enjoyed it. So yeah, that was the first book that I purchased. The next book, I'm kind of really excited about this one. Now, last year, can you see the joy on my face? You're not going to believe what the book is. Last year, I blamed the fact that the reason why my reading dropped a lot last year was because I discovered Animal Crossing. I got a Switch at Christmas in December 2020 with Animal Crossing, the game, New Horizons, and I just got addicted to it. So when I discovered they've released an Animal Crossing manga, I kind of squealed with a little bit of glee, just a little bit of glee. It's Animal Crossing manga. So now I can do Animal Crossing and reading at the same time. So this is Deserted Island Diary, the official manga for the mega hit game. Read the gag-filled adventures of 4 goofy villagers living among the Animal Crossing New Horizons characters. Includes a bonus animal guide with game tips. So you have Tom Nook, Blathers, Raymond, Gulliver, Wisp and Dom, who are all characters in New Horizons. Obviously Tom Nook the crook. And then you have these characters, these people who've moved onto the island, and they have to literally learn how to craft and to build and to decorate the island. I couldn't believe it. I was so excited. So yeah, I bought that volume 1 and cannot wait for volume 2. I have not read this yet. I don't know how I've not picked this up. But yeah, I think I did read a couple of pages of it and then I thought, no, put it down, Nicola, put it down, it's not on your TBR. So yeah, Animal Crossing, New Horizons, Deserted Island Diary, Volume 1. So excited. Sorry. The next book I picked up because this book has been... I don't read a lot of thrillers, but this book has definitely caught my attention, and it is The Sanatorium. It could have something to do with sprayed edges. Not gonna lie. I'm like a magpie. This is by Sarah Pearce, and it says you won't want to leave until you can't. So it says a beautiful eerie hotel in the Swiss Alps, recently converted from an abandoned sanatorium, is the last place Detective Ellen Warner wants to be. But her estranged brother has invited her there for his engagement party, and she feels she has no choice but to accept. Arriving in the midst of a threatening storm, Ellen immediately feels on edge, and things only get worse when they wake the next morning to find her brother's fiancé is missing. Dun, dun, dun. With access to the hotel cut off, the guests begin to panic. But this is only the first disappearance. Everyone's in danger and anyone could be next. I don't get excited about thrillers very often, but this one has me interested. And the fact that the main character is a detective tells me this is going to be more like a detective thriller rather than a domestic thriller, which I have come to the realization I don't like domestic thrillers. They bore me. And I think get a divorce. Like, if your marriage isn't working, get a divorce. Don't murder your partner. Anyway, that's my thoughts on domestics. So yeah, The Sanatorium by Sarah Pearse. And I understand, like, domestic thrillers, it's all part of the, I know. Anyway, the next book I actually bought 2 copies of. One for myself and one for my daughter, because I thought my daughter might enjoy this. I have since read this, and I think what I thought it was and what it ended up being were not quite the same thing, but I'm hoping that my daughter might still enjoy it. And that is The Appeal by Janice Hallett. It says, 1 murder, 15 suspects, can you uncover the truth? So what I thought this was a, like a solve it yourself kind of thriller. You know, a bit like those choose your own adventure kind of books. But it didn't end up being that way. However, I did like the way that this thriller was written. This thriller is in the format of emails, messages, text messages, and things like that. And literally, it's about I'll read you the back. It says, there is a mystery to solve in the sleepy town of Lockwood. It starts with the arrival of 2 secretive newcomers and ends with a tragic death. Roderick Tanner QC has assigned law students Charlotte and Femi to the case. Someone has already been sent to prison for murder, but he suspects that they are innocent and that far darker secrets have yet to be revealed. Throughout the Amateur Dramatic Society's disastrous staging of All My Sons and the shady charity appeal for a little girl's medical treatment, the murderer hid in plain sight. The evidence is all there, waiting to be found. But will Charlotte and Femi solve the case? Will you? So yeah, this is kind of, in a way, you are given all of the emails and the text messages and things like that as Charlotte and Femi are in the book. And in a way you could work it out yourself, but you don't even know who's been murdered until like almost to the end of the book. Yeah, I didn't get it. I didn't guess. I kind of knew what was going on with the shady charity appeal. I kind of guessed that. But yeah, I didn't guess it all, by the way. But yeah, it was interesting, different. I've been sat on it for a while and I'm still not sure how I feel about it. But yeah, that's The Appeal by Janice Hallett. The next book I bought, I cannot wait to read. And that is The Obsidian Butterfly by Lainey Forbes. Now, this is the 3rd book to The Seventh Son. So this is the 3rd book to The Seventh Son and The Jade Bones, which are book 1 and book 2 of this series. And I have fallen in love with this book series so far. I really enjoy the story, the setting, the world building, the writing style of Lainey Forbes. I think it's absolutely amazing. And I love the artwork on the front of this cover. Isn't that stunning? So I can't tell you what this one is about because spoilers, but The Seventh Son is basically about a young prince whose father suddenly dies, and as is tradition in their culture, the prince's mother commits suicide so that she can join her husband in heaven. And so the prince is thrust suddenly into taking the throne. Again, another cultural tradition is that he is then expected to take a wife. All the noble families of the land have to send their most eligible daughter, and they then compete to win the place of his bride. However, the losing daughters have to be sacrificed at that wedding. So it's kind of like a a win or really lose kind of situation. But there is some political intrigue, some plot twists going on, and everything is not quite as it seems. And I absolutely love the characters, the story, the world building, as I said. And so I had to go on and buy book 3, which was released in February. So yeah, I'm hoping to get to this very, very soon. It is a series, so I'm assuming there's going to be at least one more book in this series, because this is the 3rd book. But I'm happy to continue this series for as long as she's writing them, I suppose. But yeah, that is The Obsidian Butterfly by Lainey Forbes. When I walked into Waterstones on the day to pick this next book up, the ladies in there, the members of staff, was like, "Knew we'd see you today." They know me so well. Yeah, on the day that this was released, I was able to get into town and go and pick this up. And the members of staff there, they know me, they know what I'm like, they know my taste now. They're always recommending me books. And yeah, as soon as this on, they were like, "You're here to pick up Sky and Breath, aren't you?" It's like, yes, I am. It is The House of Sky and Breath by Sarah J Maas, the 2nd book in the Crescent City series that she's written. I have read this. This was on my March TBR. It's already finished. And spoiler alert, loved it. So yeah, what can I say? Everybody was practically buying this in February. It is a much anticipated release for a lot of people this year, and I was one of them. Look, I love Sarah J Maas writing. I do. I really enjoy it. I know that in this one she got a lot more smutty than her previous books, but you know what? I grew up reading Mills and Boon, so I mean, I read this like it's nothing. I don't get secondhand embarrassment reading a sex scene on the page. I get slight secondhand embarrassment if I see a sex scene on TV, like on the screen, on a movie or something, but not when I'm reading it, funnily enough. When I'm reading it, it doesn't... I just feel the moment, if you know what I mean. I just enjoy the moment. But yeah, I read it, I enjoyed it. What more can I say? I bought it, and I will be buying the next book when it comes out, whenever it's due out. I don't know when, maybe next year, maybe the following year, I don't know. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. If you don't know about the Crescent City series, the first book is House of Earth and Blood, and it is about a young girl called Bryce. It's in a magical world, so there are fae and demons and angels and archangels and all those sorts of werewolves and mermaids. Yeah, mermaids. And Bryce, many years ago, or a couple of years ago, had a traumatic experience, shall we say. I won't say exactly what, just in case you haven't read the first book. And I feel like that traumatic experience is kind of a spoiler if you say what it is. But she had a traumatic experience, and then a couple of years later, something similar is happening again, and she is brought in to try and help discover what is going on. That's pretty much all I can say without spoiling it, to be fair. But yeah, werewolves, angels, fae, mermaids. Can you see why I love these books? Yeah, I love it. I absolutely love it. So what more can I say? But yeah. And then the last book I bought, this was the only book that I didn't buy with my Waterstones voucher, and it wasn't pre-ordered. So this did come out of my book allowance. But this is a book that I have been wanting for so long, and I keep putting it off because I keep thinking, not yet, not yet. I don't need it yet. I have plenty of other books I need to read. Not yet. I can wait a little bit longer. I can wait a bit longer. I gave in and I bought an Enchantment of Ravens by Margaret Rogerson. I really, really enjoyed her other book, which is A Sorcery of Thorns, isn't it? Sorcery of Thorns. I think so. So yeah, and her writing is very simple. I feel like Margaret Rogerson and Holly Black are very, very similar. They write very, very simple but beautiful, fantastical stories. And I have heard so much about this one that it has had me intrigued. So it says, every enchantment has a price. With a flick of her paintbrush, Isabel creates stunning portraits for a dangerous set of clients, the fair folk. These immortal creatures cannot bake bread or put a pen to paper without crumbling to dust. They crave human craft with a terrible thirst, and they trade valuable enchantments for Isabel's paintings. But when she receives her first royal patron, Rook, the Autumn Prince, Isabel makes a deadly mistake. She paints mortal sorrow in his eyes, a weakness that could cost him his throne and even his life. Furious, Rook spirits Isabel away to his kingdom to stand trial for her crime, but something is seriously amiss in his world and they are attacked from every side. With Isabel and Rook depending upon each other for survival, their alliance blossoms into trust, perhaps even love. A forbidden emotion that would violate the fair folk's ruthless laws, rendering both their lives forfeit. What force could Isabel's paintings conjure that is powerful enough to defy the ancient malice of the fairy courts? Isabel and Rook journey along a knife edge in a lush world where beauty masks corruption and the cost of survival might be more frightening than death itself. So yes, very excited. It's only a small fantasy book, so I could probably, blast through this in a day, but I'm so intrigued by it. It's a story that I've been looking at this book for at least 2 years, I think. When was it released? Because I know I've heard people talking about it. So yeah, it was released in 2017. So I think pretty much since I started BookTube, like doing bookish videos on my channel, I've heard people talking about the Enchantment of Ravens, and it's had me intrigued. And I finally caved in and I finally bought it because I just couldn't get this story out of my head that I wanted to read it. So yeah, so that was it. That was my book haul for February. Are any of these books on your TBR? Did you also buy House of Sky and Breath last month? Yeah, I can't believe it. So that was it. That was my February book haul. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!